somebody's going to need this later on, do it. And so they did, because J.P. Harrington's wife left him because she thought he was crazy. Because he was writing down languages for all these dying languages, and he went broke. And she said, "Hasta luego, see you later." So it's an interesting history about what happened here in the Bay Area and what continues to happen. So right now, what we've done is actually another group that I work with is Indian People Organizing for Change, and we did shell mound peace walks. And so we walked to most of the 425 shell mounds between 2005 and 2008. And right now, what we're trying to do, because we're not federally recognized, tribes that are federally recognized get land in trust, they get medical, they get education stuff, all of these things like a treaty, right, with another government. But since we're not federally recognized, what I'm trying to do is to create a land trust here in the Bay Area so that we can get the thousands of bodies that are at UC Berkeley and San Francisco State and other places, so we could repatriate them and reinter them into the land. So there's nobody else, they don't hold on to everybody else's people, but they hold on to our people for some reason, right? And so it's really crazy.
Oh, when is this, I'm sorry, when is this protest happening in Carnival?
Easter Sunday.
Call what?
What is that, April 6th?
Still going on.
I'll find out, and how should I contact the organization or how?
On Facebook?
Facebook?
Yeah,
All right.
just Facebook me.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, speaking of DNA, would it be important to schematically, just be more tentative about this mapping DNA into like a genome project, to really preserve, your kind of culture, so that way it can be recognized. Just like there's a genome project just for everything else, why can't it be, your kind?
Well, I know that somebody was doing a
Homeland
human
Security.
genome progress, and they were getting people to actually do the mouth swabs and stuff like that in different parts of the world, and they did that for some Native American people here to figure out how many people were different stuff. I don't know much about the science myself. I don't know that people want to do that. I know that one of the things, I know that there was one time that the leader of the Muwekma tribe actually went ahead and allowed a DNA test to be done. They were doing some work on a prison in San Jose, and they found 4 bodies there. And she wanted to take them and to rebury them, and they wanted to make sure that she was actually a descendant of those people. So she allowed them to take a little bit of the ancestors and a little bit of her DNA. And she, I don't remember how many markers there are. I think there's 7. She had 6 of the 7 markers, so it's definitely a relative of those folks. So it could probably possibly work. I'm not quite sure how all of that science works myself. So yeah.
I just would like to see that, a better extrapolation, understanding, more kind of link
Yeah.
to yield and health.
Yeah, I don't know. Folks might want to do that later on.
Yeah, would you be willing to say something about this Father Sarah? Because I grew up reading his things as a little boy, how he really wanted to come to America and, give the faith. With total open heart, and we made a lot of sacrifices to do that. Traveled up and down his also as he lived, lived very sparsely, and apparently did love the native people, so I know a lot of negative things happened with the missions. But I just wonder, trying to bring it all together in my head, because I don't see him as an evil person or a friendly person to the natives, misguided in some ways, according to the way we look at it.
And I want you to know that I'm feeling the same, because sometimes it's a sign of the times that these guys went to Hawaii to take care of the lepers. He was a hard man, but he took care of the lepers. And I just want to know the whole story too. I'm interested.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with her on Mission Santa Barbara because I have a grandson who's related to that. I'm trying to look into their archives and trying to understand, yeah, the whole story and not humanize people who maybe came under some really good intentions. People were not aware when they came here that anybody besides themselves. For example.
And what I feel, you know, I also think that canonizing somebody who, knowing or not knowing what he was doing is wrong. I don't believe, because that would be making a mistake, right?
Right.
Well, the Father Sarah issue, as far as I understand, is very controversial. But one of the points that I think is really interesting and is one of the reasons that Native American Californians are irritated, it's not just Father Sarah, it's the mission system. And one of the problems is because all these Native groups were taken to the mission, they lost their identity, except for some of the record keeping. So they started being called Mission Indians. And Mission Indians have no status, have no right, have no federal hope of ever being recognized, even though Obama said he was going to, but he didn't. But that's one of the key problems, is that if you are a Ohlone, you have to prove, Corrina can prove it, that's why she's original, she's unique. She can prove her family was on the land. 99% of Native Americans can't prove they were on a specific piece of land in a specific tribe. So the anger, you correct me, that's some of what I've been thinking, the anger is directed against the mission itself, even more than Father Sarah. It's the loss of identity that's the crux of the issue.
But that's not the only reason.
Yeah.
Because the way the Catholic Church, I'm Catholic, and
Yeah.
wherever the Catholic Church went, like a lot of missions, even if there are other religions, they would go in and make a change and basically telling people the way you are living is wrong.
Right.
Okay? So even though, I mean, we have a lot of people fight, a lot of tribes, all over the world, people fight, however, everybody. But what they would make them do is basically take their life apart. Many people were killed for not agreeing to convert.
Right.
And so even though Father Sarah might have done some good things, which what I read he did, however, he went by his teachings of the church, Spain, what Spain wanted.
I was
And that is really bad, and he should never go to
My grandmother, she was born in a village, she was raped, and she had 2 children. And because she was not married, the Catholicism in the village outcast her. So my grandfather wanted to marry her, but he couldn't because they were banned to go in the church. So they had to move to the outskirts of the city, the nearby city. And that's where I was born. My mother was born, and then I was born. And the same thing. Even if the father of that church was doing good things for the rest, he affected the life of my grandmother in a way that destroyed the ideals of the beliefs in the village. So I'm not going to throw stones at the church today, but I will go and say, no, it's not a sin. And that, I guess that's the point.
Yeah, I think that I appreciate everybody's thoughts on and participating in that piece of the conversation. I'm a recovering Catholic too. And I was